Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in every life when the weight feels too much, when the prayers seem unanswered, when the silence of heaven feels louder than thunder, when your strength is gone and you're tempted to give up. God sees what you can't say. That truth alone can carry you through seasons of deep weariness. When you're exhausted and words escape you, when your prayers feel hollow and your emotions are too heavy to express, He still knows. He doesn't need a polished prayer or a perfect explanation. He doesn't wait for you to pull yourself together before He listens. He sees the pain behind your silence, the storm behind your smile, the fatigue hidden behind your daily routine. There are moments in life when even speaking feels like too much, when you've prayed the same prayer over and over, and you're met with what feels like silence, but the silence isn't ignorance, it's not abandonment. Sometimes silence is sacred. It's the space where God is closest, where He listens most attentively, not to your words, but to your heart. He reads every sigh. He deciphers every tear. He understands the language of your spirit better than you do. The Bible says He collects every tear in a bottle. That means not one drop of your pain is lost on Him. Not one moment of your tired soul goes unnoticed. You may think no one understands what you're carrying. And maybe that's true. No human might fully grasp the depth of your burden, but God does. He doesn't just sympathize, He walks with you in it. In fact, He walks ahead of you. He's already at the place you're headed. He knows where the road will turn. He sees the outcome before you even take the next step. And yet He stays by your side through every uncertain moment, whispering, "I'm here, I know, and I will carry you." This is not just emotional comfort, it is spiritual reality. You are not alone. You are seen, known, and understood in ways deeper than human connection could ever offer. He knows the nights you couldn't sleep. He knows the prayers you couldn't finish. He knows the weariness that sits in your bones, the kind of exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix. And He's not frustrated with you. He's not impatient. He's not waiting for you to get it together. He's waiting for you to let Him in, so let go of the pressure to be strong all the time. You don't have to impress God. You just have to be honest, even if that honesty sounds like silence, even if it's just sitting in His presence with nothing left to say. That is still prayer. That is still connection. And it's in that raw, vulnerable, quiet space that God often speaks the loudest. He doesn't need your words. He wants your heart. He knows you're tired, and He's not asking you to pretend. He's asking you to rest in Him, to let Him carry what you can't, to trust that He's already working in the unseen. Even now, even in this, even in you, when you pray, you are not being weak. You are stepping into battle. The world may teach you to rely on your own strength, to push harder, grind longer, and keep moving no matter what. But the truth is, there are battles in life that can't be won by willpower alone. There are struggles that are bigger than your strength, deeper than your understanding, and darker than your determination can endure. That's why prayer is not some quiet ritual. It's spiritual warfare. It is how you fight the battles you cannot see with the God who sees everything. Prayer is not passive. It is powerful. It's not a retreat from reality. It's a declaration of faith in the face of fear. Every time you choose to pray, especially when you're tired, you're doing something bold. You're saying, "I can't, but God can." You're aligning your weakness with His strength. You're inviting the Creator of the universe into your situation. And when you do that, everything begins to shift. Even if it doesn't shift immediately around you, it starts shifting within you. The enemy wants you to believe that prayer is a waste of time, especially when you don't see quick results. But that's a lie. Every prayer is a seed, and like any seed planted in the ground, it may take time to break through the soil, but it is not dead. It is working. Beneath the surface, where you can't see it, something is happening. The roots are growing, the answer is forming, the ground is shifting. God is moving in realms beyond what your eyes can detect and your mind can understand. Even Jesus, in His moments of greatest sorrow, turned to prayer. In Gethsemane, as He faced the cross, He didn't run. He prayed. He cried out. He was honest about his pain, and in that moment, angels were sent to strengthen him. If the Son of God turned to prayer in his exhaustion, how much more should we? When we are on the brink of giving up, prayer is not just something we do. It becomes the place we go to survive, to regroup, to fight again. And don't believe the lie that your prayer has to be long or fancy to be effective. A whispered "Help me, God," can shake the gates of hell. A tearful "Lord, I don't understand," can summon peace that surpasses understanding. The power is not in your performance, it's in who you're talking to. Heaven listens, God responds, and the spiritual world takes notice when a child of God gets on their knees and refuses to give up. So pray, even when it's hard. Pray especially when you're tired, because every prayer releases power. And that power may not always change your circumstances immediately, but it will change you. And when God strengthens you, there is no battle you cannot face. Prayer is your weapon. Use it boldly. Waiting is not wasting. That truth is hard to grasp when you're in the middle of a season that feels stalled, silent, or stuck. We live in a world that glorifies speed, achievement, and instant results. If something doesn't happen fast, we assume it's not happening at all. But God doesn't operate on our timelines. He's not bound by our schedules or pressured by our impatience. His timing is perfect, not always comfortable, but always purposeful. When you're waiting, it may feel like nothing is happening. But in reality, everything is being prepared. You just can't see it yet. Waiting is not a void. It's a season of unseen construction. Think of a seed buried in the soil. Just because it's invisible doesn't mean it's inactive. Underneath the surface, roots are forming, the shell is breaking, and life is beginning. If you judge the process by what you could see, you'd think nothing was happening, but time is working in your favor. And so is God. Waiting is where faith is forged. It's where trust is tested and deepened. It's where motives are refined. We often think we're waiting for something, an answer, a breakthrough, a door to open. But many times we're not just waiting for something. God is working in us. He's shaping our character, increasing our endurance, and teaching us to lean on Him, not on outcomes. Waiting strips away pride. It exposes our need. It shows us whether we're seeking God for who He is, or just for what He can do. That's why the wait is never wasted. It creates space for surrender. It matures your faith so that when the promise comes, you'll be ready to carry it. Some doors haven't opened yet, not because God said no, but because He said, not yet. I'm still preparing you and preparing it. Throughout Scripture, we see this pattern over and over. Abraham waited decades for the child God promised. Joseph waited in prison for the dream to unfold. David waited years to sit on a throne he had already been anointed for. And Jesus Himself waited 30 years for a 3-year ministry. Why? Because waiting was never punishment. It was preparation. And when the time came, what God had promised was not just fulfilled. It was multiplied. So if you're in a season of waiting, don't despise it. Lean into it. Trust that God is not withholding. He's arranging. You may not understand the delay, but you can trust the hands behind it. His timing is not only strategic, it's loving. And when He moves, He does more in a moment than we could accomplish in a lifetime. So wait, not with frustration, but with expectation, because what God is preparing for you is worth every second of the wait. Trust is built in the fire, not in the comfort, not in the certainty, not in the blessings, but in the furnace, in the trial, in the unknown. We say we trust God, but that trust is not proven on sunny days. It's proven in storms. It's easy to have faith when things make sense, when prayers are answered quickly, and when the road ahead is smooth. But real trust is born when the way is unclear, when the answers are delayed, And when nothing seems to be happening, that's when trust becomes more than a word. It becomes your lifeline. God often allows the fire not to destroy you, but to refine you. The fire reveals what's real, when everything else is stripped away, when your plans collapse, when your strength runs dry, when people walk away. What's left is raw, honest faith. It's in those moments that you learn to trust not in what God does, but in who God is. And who He is never changes. He is faithful, He is good, He is present, even when you can't feel Him. In fact, sometimes God will remove every other option so that trusting Him becomes the only one, not because He wants to watch you struggle, but because He wants you to discover that He is enough, that His presence is more powerful than the answer you're waiting for, that His peace can hold you even when your world is shaking. The fire teaches you how to walk by faith, not by sight. It's in the fire that you find out what you really believe. When the breakthrough is delayed, do you still believe He's working? When the healing hasn't come, do you still believe He's good? When the door remains shut, do you still believe He's guiding you? This is where trust is refined, where your foundation is tested. And if you keep standing, if you keep believing, that trust will come out of the fire stronger than steel. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were thrown into a literal furnace, and yet they said, "Even if our God does not deliver us, we will not bow." That's the kind of trust the fire builds. Not conditional faith, but unshakable faith. A faith that says, I don't need to see the outcome to know my God is in control. So don't fear the fire. Don't resent it. God uses the fire to remove the things that don't belong and reveal the strength that was already in you. And when you come out on the other side, you won't be the same. You'll be stronger. You'll be clearer. You'll be more deeply rooted in Him, because trust that survives the fire doesn't just endure, it transforms. The tired shall rise again. That's not a hopeful phrase. It's a divine promise. When you feel like you've come to the end of your strength, when your soul is weary and your body is heavy with exhaustion, know this: God is not finished with you. You may be tired, but you are not defeated. You may be drained, but you are not done, because the God who called you is the same God who renews you, and He does not abandon the weary. He lifts them. Isaiah 40:31 says, "But those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles." That's not poetic imagery. It's spiritual reality. There is a supernatural strength reserved for those who don't quit. Not those who never get tired, but those who go to God when they do. Strength is not found in pretending to be okay. It's found in surrender. It's found when you say, God, I can't go any further unless you carry me. And He will. Eagles don't fly by flapping harder. They soar by catching the wind. And that's what God offers you. Not more effort, not more pressure, but a wind beneath your wings, a strength you didn't manufacture, a peace that doesn't make sense, a second wind born of His Spirit, not your willpower. He gives rest to the burdened and energy to the faint. You don't have to collapse under the weight you're carrying. He invites you to give it to Him. Tiredness doesn't disqualify you. It doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're human, and God made provision for that. He's not looking for perfect people. He's looking for willing hearts. You don't have to rise on your own. He will raise you up. He will breathe fresh life into dry bones. He will lift your head when it hangs low. The same God who raised Jesus from the dead lives in you. And that resurrection power isn't just for Easter Sunday. It's for every single day you feel like giving up. And when God renews your strength, it won't just restore you. It will prepare you. You won't come out of this tired season the same. You'll come out wiser, deeper, and more dependent on Him. You'll have scars that tell stories of survival and strength. You'll be a testimony of what God can do with someone who refused to quit, even when they had nothing left but a whisper of faith. So if you're tired, that's okay. Just don't give up. Let God meet you in the weariness. Let Him carry what you can't, because you will rise again. not in your strength, but in His, and when you do, you'll soar higher than you ever thought possible. The breakthrough is closer than you think. That may be hard to believe when you've been praying, waiting, trusting, and nothing seems to change, when you've walked through endless days of silence, when you've knocked on doors that never opened, when every step forward feels followed by 2 steps back. But that's exactly how it often feels right before everything shifts. Just because you can't see movement doesn't mean there isn't momentum. God's hand moves in mystery, but His timing is never late. Many people give up right before the miracle. They stop praying when the answer is already on the way. They walk away when the finish line is just around the corner. Why? Because discouragement is loudest right before the breakthrough. Doubt shouts when you're closest to destiny. The enemy fights hardest when he knows something is about to be released in your life. But don't let weariness rob you of your reward. What God started in you, He is faithful to complete. You have to understand, breakthrough isn't just about getting what you've been asking for. It's about stepping into what you were always meant to carry. It's about alignment, fulfillment, and divine release. And sometimes the delay is part of the design. God uses the waiting to stretch your faith, sharpen your vision, and prepare your character. Because when the breakthrough comes, it won't be small, it won't be partial. It won't be random. It will be right, it will be perfect, and it will make sense in a way that retroactively heals the pain it took to get there. The walls of Jericho didn't fall the first day the people marched around them, or the second, or the third, but they kept going, they kept circling, even when nothing seemed to change, and on the 7th day, with one final shout, the walls collapsed, not because the shout was louder, but because the obedience was complete. Sometimes you're on your last lap and don't even know it. The next prayer could be the one that brings the shift. The next step of obedience could be the one that opens the floodgates. Don't let what you see deceive you. God is not idle. He's not ignoring you. He's positioning people, shifting circumstances, preparing hearts, or preparing you. You don't have the full picture yet, but He does, and He's weaving it all together for your good. That breakthrough, it's not just on its way. It's closer than you think. Keep moving, keep believing, keep showing up in faith, because what God has promised He will deliver, and when He does, it will be more than worth the wait.